My friends, the greatest power given to you is not your strength, not your wealth, not even your position. It is your mind. Everything you are today is the result of what you allowed your mind to dwell upon yesterday. If you think in weakness, you live in weakness. If you think in strength, you rise in strength. The mind is like a garden. If you do not plant seeds of wisdom, discipline, and faith, then weeds of fear, doubt, and laziness will overtake it. Mastering your mind means guarding what enters it, feeding it with truth, and training it to focus on what is noble and right. ChatGPT said, "Your mind is the battlefield where victories and defeats begin. Every great achievement, every failure, every step of progress or moment of downfall first took shape in the unseen arena of the human mind. Before an athlete wins a race, he has already conquered self, doubt in his thinking. Before a student excels, she has already fought through the distractions of laziness and worry in her thoughts. And before a leader changes the world, he has already changed his outlook within. The battlefield is not primarily in the hands, the body, or the circumstances, it is in the mind. When the mind is defeated, the body will follow. But when the mind is strong, when the mind is focused, no external force can hold back a determined spirit. This battlefield is invisible, yet it is more real than any field of war. In this inner battleground, voices of fear and faith compete. Doubt whispers that you are not enough, that the mountain is too high, that the world is too strong against you. But hope speaks back, declaring that within you lies the strength to overcome, that every mountain can be climbed step by step, and that the greatest victories often rise from the greatest struggles. What you allow to dominate your thoughts determines which voice will win. The mind is the control center of your life. Just as a captain steers a ship, your mind steers your actions. A ship without direction is carried by the waves, tossed wherever the current decides. So too is a life without control of the mind, tossed by emotions, temptations, and the influences of others. But when the captain of the mind takes hold, charts the course, and holds firm to discipline, then no storm can cause the vessel to drift away from its destiny. Consider for a moment how many battles are lost before they even begin. A young person dreams of success, but immediately says, "I can't." That battle is lost in the mind, and the body follows. A worker sees an opportunity for growth, but tells himself, "It's too difficult." Again, the battle is lost long before the action is even attempted. The opposite is also true. A person may face a mountain of challenges, but thinks, "I will find a way." Even if the path is unclear, even if strength feels small, the victory begins to take root, for the mind has already chosen not to surrender. Your greatest enemy is not always the world around you, but the war inside you. Fear, doubt, laziness, and negativity are soldiers waiting to overtake your thinking. They march in when the mind is left unguarded, but courage, focus, faith, and determination are also ready, waiting for you to summon them, to strengthen them, and to let them lead. Whichever you feed will win. If you feed your fears, they will grow stronger and paralyze you. But if you feed your courage, it will rise and conquer every fear. Mastering this battlefield requires daily vigilance. You cannot let your mind wander aimlessly, for an unguarded mind is a defeated mind. Instead, you must choose what to think upon. Replace every negative thought with a purposeful one. Replace fear with preparation, doubt with discipline, and laziness with action. Small victories in the mind add up to great victories in life. Every time you reject the thought of giving up, you have already won a battle. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you move closer to triumph. Victory and defeat, success and failure, greatness and mediocrity, these are not decided by circumstances alone, but by the battlefield of the mind. And the truth is this: you have the power to choose which side will win. If you master your mind, nothing can truly master you. Would you like me to expand all 6 keynotes, one by one, into 700 words each, so you end up with a complete motivational series, almost like a mini book on Master Your Mind? Thoughts shape habits, and habits shape destiny. Every action that becomes part of who you are begins with a single thought. The thought is the seed, the action is the sprout, the habit is the tree, and destiny is the forest that grows from it. You cannot underestimate the power of one idea that takes root in your mind. When you think about something often enough, it becomes a focus. When it becomes a focus, you begin to act on it. When you act on it repeatedly, it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it quietly builds the direction of your entire life. This is why great achievements and destructive failures alike can both be traced back to simple, repeated thoughts. A person who continually tells himself that he is weak will eventually build habits of avoidance, inaction, and surrender. Another person who continually tells himself that he is strong will build habits of resilience, consistency, and bold action. Both are shaped not first by environment, but by the inner dialogue they repeat. The most dangerous thing about habits is that they do not ask your permission to shape your life. They grow silently. One small negative thought repeated becomes a habit of negativity, and that habit may control your relationships, your decisions, and even your opportunities. A person who feeds the thought of anger may not notice how it becomes a habit of bitterness, which then turns into broken trust and isolation. But in the same way, the most empowering thing about habits is that they can be built by choice. A person who begins by thinking daily about gratitude will eventually develop habits of kindness, patience, and peace. These habits then open doors to stronger relationships, greater opportunities, and an atmosphere of joy. This is why shaping your thoughts is not just a mental exercise, but a life-changing practice. You are building your destiny one thought at a time, one repeated choice at a time. Think of destiny as a river, and your thoughts as the streams that flow into it. Every stream adds to the current, and in time, the river's direction is determined. If the streams are polluted with negativity, fear, and destructive thinking, the river of destiny will carry you toward frustration and regret. If the streams are clear with purpose, discipline, and vision, the river of destiny will carry you toward fulfillment and meaning. The choice of which water you pour into your destiny is in your hands. What you think about most is what you will live out. The process may seem slow, but it is unstoppable. No one becomes wise, disciplined, or courageous in a single moment. It is the daily repetition of thoughts that molds the mind and soul. A single decision to act with discipline is good, but the habit of discipline comes from the constant thought, "I will not give up." A single act of kindness is powerful, but the habit of kindness is born from the thought, "I will see others with compassion." Over time, these habits form a character, and that character becomes the compass of your destiny. Even science tells us that the brain is molded by repetition. Pathways grow stronger with use. What you think today, if repeated tomorrow, becomes easier to think the next day. This is why guarding your thoughts is vital. If you feed your mind with low standards, unhealthy images, and destructive beliefs, they will become the strongest pathways in your brain, guiding your behavior automatically. But if you feed your mind with noble ideas, wisdom, and discipline, those pathways grow stronger and begin to direct you almost without effort. The future is built not by chance, but by these invisible tracks laid down in the mind. Destiny is not something that falls upon you by accident. It is something you build step by step. Every great leader, every inventor, every teacher, every person of impact first shaped their destiny with thoughts that became daily habits. A leader trains his mind to see challenges as opportunities, and soon he develops the habit of resilience. An inventor trains his thoughts to look beyond failure, and soon he develops the habit of persistence. A teacher trains her thoughts to believe in others, and soon she develops the habit of encouragement. These habits, repeated over time, set a course that becomes unshakable. So never dismiss a single thought, for thoughts are seeds, and seeds grow into forests. Choose carefully what you plant in the soil of your mind. Choose thoughts of courage, purpose, and truth. Nurture them daily until they become habits, and as those habits grow strong, they will shape a destiny greater than you ever imagined. Would you like me to now expand Keynote 3, Discipline is the Bridge Between Desire and Achievement, into 700 words the same way? That way, we'll keep building your full motivational collection step by step. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. Every person carries within them a burning desire to accomplish something, whether it is success in a career, excellence in education, strength in character, or fulfillment in personal life. But desire alone is not enough. Desire without discipline is like a dream without a path, a fire without fuel, or a ship without a sail. It may burn brightly in the imagination, but it goes nowhere in reality. Discipline is what transforms an inner wish into an outward accomplishment. It is the steady hand that builds the bridge from where you are to where you long to be. The truth is that desire is common, but discipline is rare. Many want to be strong, but few are willing to train their body daily. Many want to be wise, but few are willing to read, study, and reflect consistently. Many want to rise higher in life, but few are willing to endure the sacrifices that greatness demands. The gap between wanting and having, between dreaming and doing, is discipline. Without it, desire fades into frustration, because the heart longs for results that the hands are too weak to produce. With it, desire grows into reality, because the steady effort builds brick by brick the future once only imagined. Discipline is not a punishment, it is a form of freedom. A person without discipline is a slave to impulses, constantly pulled by the strongest feeling of the moment. If the mind says, rest, they rest. If the body says, indulge, they indulge. If circumstances say, quit, they quit. Such a person is carried by the winds of life, always moving but never arriving. But a disciplined person is free, for he has chosen a direction and refuses to be distracted. He has learned to tell his emotions, "You will not control me," and to tell his body, "You will serve my purpose, not my weakness." That kind of mastery gives a freedom that laziness and carelessness can never provide. Consider the builder of a great bridge. He does not complete it in a day. Every stone must be placed carefully, every beam set firmly. In the same way, discipline is the act of laying daily stones across the gap between desire and achievement. Each morning you rise to face your tasks, you lay another stone. Each time you resist the temptation to quit, you strengthen another beam. Each moment you choose long-term growth over short-term comfort, the bridge becomes stronger, and eventually, what once seemed like a distant dream becomes a solid reality you can walk upon. Discipline requires sacrifice, but it also multiplies reward. The student who disciplines himself to study while others waste time gains knowledge that opens doors in the future. The athlete who disciplines himself to train while others sleep earns victories that inspire generations. The leader who disciplines himself to listen learn, and serve while others chase comfort creates legacies that outlast his own life. Sacrifice is never easy, but discipline teaches us that the pain of today is the price of tomorrow's triumph. There will always be voices that tempt you away from discipline. The voice of procrastination says, "Do it tomorrow." The voice of fear says, "You might fail." The voice of comfort says, "This is too hard." But discipline answers back, "I will do it now. I will face the challenge. I will endure the struggle." And as you repeat this choice day after day, discipline grows stronger until it becomes a habit. Once discipline is a habit, achievement is no longer a distant possibility, but an inevitable outcome. Even in small things, discipline builds greatness. The simple choice to wake up on time, to finish a task before resting, to speak with honesty, to stay committed when no one is watching, these are the daily acts that shape character. Great achievements are not built in a moment of inspiration, but in countless moments of discipline. The writer does not complete a book in a day, but through disciplined words written each morning. The musician does not master an instrument by desire alone, but through disciplined hours of practice. The parent does not raise a strong child through good intentions, but through the discipline of patience, love, and guidance. Desire is the spark, but discipline is the engine. Without discipline, the spark burns out. With discipline, the spark grows into a fire that lights the way forward. Those who master discipline discover that achievement is not a question of chance, but a matter of choice. You cannot always control your talents, your opportunities, or your circumstances, but you can always control your discipline. And when you choose it, when you live it daily, the bridge between desire and achievement is built beneath your feet, carrying you steadily toward the life you were meant to live. Would you like me to continue with Keynote 4, Focus is the Greatest Weapon Against Distraction, into another 700 words next? Focus is the greatest weapon against distraction. In every age, but especially in our own, distractions surround us on every side. They call for our attention with bright colors, constant noise, and endless demands. They steal minutes, hours, and sometimes even years, without us realizing how much has been lost. A life scattered by distractions cannot build anything lasting, because the energy that could have been invested in growth is wasted on fragments of trivial pursuits. Focus, on the other hand, gathers your strength, sharpens your vision, and channels your energy toward a single direction. It is like the difference between the sun's scattered rays that warm the skin and the concentrated beam of a magnifying glass that can set a fire. Power lies not in activity, but in directed activity, not in being busy, but in being focused. When a person lacks focus, he may work hard but accomplish little. His efforts are divided, and so his results are weak. He begins many things but finishes none, because his attention is constantly pulled toward whatever feels urgent in the moment. But a focused person learns the discipline of saying no to many things, so that he can say yes to the one thing that truly matters. He does not try to run in every direction, for he knows that a runner who changes paths every few steps will never reach the finish line. Instead, he sets his eyes on a goal and pursues it with steady determination. This is why focus is not only a skill, but a weapon. It cuts through the noise, the temptations, and the distractions that seek to weaken your progress. The world is filled with opportunities, but not every opportunity is meant for you. Without focus, you may waste your life chasing things that look good, but do not align with your purpose. Focus demands that you choose. It asks you to prioritize, to give up lesser pursuits, so that you can achieve greater ones. This is difficult because the human heart often desires to have everything at once. But focus teaches us that greatness is not found in scattering ourselves thin, but in concentrating ourselves deep. The tree that spreads its roots deeply into the ground may not be as wide as others at first, but when storms come, it stands firm, and in time it grows taller and stronger. So it is with life. Those who go deep in one direction through focus achieve more than those who try to stretch themselves across too many paths. Distractions are not always evil. Often they come disguised as good things. They may be invitations to activities, offers of pleasure, or tasks that appear urgent, but are not truly important. The danger lies in the fact that they keep you busy, but take you further from your true calling. A person can fill every day with noise, screens, and endless tasks, yet look back after years and realize that nothing meaningful was built. Focus protects you from this tragedy by constantly asking, does this lead me closer to my purpose, or does it pull me away? If the answer is the latter, then you must have the courage to turn away, no matter how attractive the distraction may appear. Focus also requires presence. Many people are not where they are. Their body may be in one place, but their mind is scattered in 100 directions. They are thinking of yesterday's regrets, tomorrow's worries, or someone else's opinion, and so they miss the power of today. But when you train yourself to be fully present in the moment, your work becomes sharper, your relationships become richer, and your growth becomes faster. Presence is a form of focus that teaches you to give your full attention to the task at hand, knowing that true excellence is only possible when the mind and heart are united in one effort. The strongest achievements in history were built by men and women who mastered focus. The scientist who dedicates decades to a single discovery, the artist who pours endless hours into perfecting a single craft, the leader who gives his life to one cause. All of them prove that focused life is a powerful life. They did not allow distractions to pull them away from their vision. They chose one direction and followed it with perseverance, and because of that choice, they left behind a legacy. To wield focus as your greatest weapon, you must first know your purpose, for without purpose, focus has nothing to hold on to. Once you know where you are going, train yourself daily to remove the unnecessary, to silence the noise, and to direct your energy fully toward your vision. At first, this discipline will feel difficult, but over time it becomes natural. The mind learns to resist distraction the same way the body learns to grow stronger with exercise. And when focus becomes your habit, progress becomes your lifestyle. In a world full of noise, the one who is focused becomes unstoppable. Distraction weakens, but focus strengthens. Distraction delays, but focus accelerates. Distraction scatters, but focus unites. And when your mind, heart, and actions are united toward a single worthy purpose, there is no obstacle too great, no challenge too strong, and no dream too distant. Focus is the weapon that turns possibility into reality, and those who learn to wield it master not only their time but their destiny. Would you like me to expand Keynote 5, Mastery Comes Not by Chance, but by Training Daily, into another 700 words now? Mastery comes not by chance, but by training daily. No one wakes up one morning suddenly excellent at their craft, wise in their decisions, or strong in their character. What looks like overnight success is always the product of long, unseen hours of effort. People admire the peak of the mountain, but rarely see the years of climbing it took to reach the top. They see the performance on the stage, the book on the shelf, the medal around the neck, but they do not see the countless days of practice, the struggles against discouragement, and the steady training that built the strength behind the achievement. Mastery is not a gift randomly given. It is a crown earned by those who are willing to train when no one is watching. Daily training is powerful because small, repeated actions compound over time. A single drop of water seems insignificant, but millions of drops carve valleys in stone. A single day of practice may feel unimportant, but weeks, months, and years of consistent practice build skill and resilience that cannot be broken. The one who trains daily may not notice progress at first, but slowly and surely, growth takes place. Muscles grow stronger, the mind becomes sharper, and habits become ingrained. And then, one day, the difference is undeniable. The once ordinary person has become extraordinary because of daily discipline. Chance does not create mastery because chance is unpredictable. To rely on chance is to leave your future in the hands of luck and circumstance. But training places your future in your own hands. When you train daily, you take responsibility for your growth. You are no longer waiting for opportunity to favor you. You are preparing yourself so that when opportunity arrives, you are ready. Opportunities often pass by those who are unprepared, but they are seized by those who have trained consistently. It is not the dreamer who wins, but the doer who trains for the dream. Training daily requires humility, because it means accepting that you are not yet where you want to be. It is the humble admission that there is always more to learn, more to improve, more to refine. Those who believe they have already arrived stop growing, but those who train daily keep advancing. Mastery is not about perfection, it is about progress. It is not about doing everything right the first time, but about refusing to quit until you have done it better than the last time. Training transforms failure into feedback, mistakes into lessons, and weakness into strength. The greatest danger to mastery is inconsistency. Many begin with excitement but stop when the training becomes hard or when results seem slow. But true mastery belongs to those who endure the monotony of daily effort, who push forward even when no applause is heard, and who train not for recognition but for growth. The athlete who runs laps before sunrise, the student who studies when others sleep, the worker who sharpens his skill after hours, these are the people who eventually stand out because they chose consistency over comfort. Even the smallest training, when repeated daily, is better than occasional bursts of effort. A person who practices for 15 minutes every day will surpass the one who practices for hours once a month. A writer who writes a page each morning will finish a book, while the one who waits for inspiration may never begin. The principle is simple. Small steps repeated daily build greater progress than giant leaps taken rarely. The world rewards those who understand this truth and live it faithfully. Training daily also shapes the mind, not just the skill. It teaches patience, endurance, and focus. It builds resilience by proving that progress is possible even in the face of setbacks. It removes the illusion of quick success and replaces it with the reality of earned success. And in the process, it transforms not only what you can do, but who you are. The journey of training becomes as important as the achievement itself, because it molds your character into one that can handle the weight of mastery. Look at anyone who has reached the top of their field, and you will find the same secret. The master musician trained with scales and exercises for years. The master craftsman repeated the simplest motions until his hands moved with precision. The master thinker filled his mind daily with study, reflection, and dialogue. They did not rely on chance, they relied on training. Their greatness is not an accident, but the result of choices repeated thousands of times. If you desire mastery in your own life, commit yourself not to luck but to training. Decide what skill, what discipline, what character trait you wish to build, and then train daily, no matter how small the step. Do it in silence. Do it when no one applauds. Do it when progress feels invisible. In time, your effort will accumulate into excellence, and others will call you gifted, when in truth you are trained. Mastery will not come to you by chance. It will come because you chose each day to prepare for it. And when the day arrives when your skill, your strength, or your wisdom is needed most, you will not stumble, because your daily training has made you ready. Would you like me to continue with Keynote 6? A transformed mind creates a transformed life, into 700 words, so your collection is fully complete. A transformed mind creates a transformed life. Every outward change begins inwardly. The visible fruits of a person's life, success, peace, resilience, joy, are all rooted in the invisible soil of the mind. A person with an unchanged mind may attempt to alter their circumstances, their surroundings, or their appearance, but those changes will be temporary because the source within remains the same. Real transformation begins when the way you think is renewed, when the patterns of your thoughts are reshaped, and when your mind embraces new truths that guide new behaviors. The life you live is nothing more than a reflection of the mind you cultivate. If the mind is filled with negativity, the life will naturally reflect it. A person who continually believes they are a failure will act in ways that sabotage success. Their words, choices, and habits will align with the belief that they cannot achieve more, and as a result, their life becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if the mind is filled with hope, discipline, and belief in growth, then the life begins to follow that same path. The individual who thinks, "I can learn, I can endure, I can improve," will act in ways that lead to growth and strength. Their life is transformed because their thoughts were transformed first. The mind is the lens through which you see the world. If the lens is cracked or clouded, everything you see will appear distorted. You will misinterpret challenges as impossibilities, opportunities as threats, and failures as permanent defeats. But when the lens is cleaned, when the mind is renewed, the same world looks different. Challenges appear as lessons, opportunities as invitations, and failures as stepping stones. Nothing in the world outside has changed, yet everything feels different because your mind has been transformed. Transformation of the mind requires awareness. Many people live on autopilot, repeating the same thoughts they inherited from childhood, society, or past experiences without questioning them. They may not even realize that their thinking is holding them prisoner. But the first step to transformation is to notice what you are thinking, to shine a light on the beliefs that drive your choices. Once you recognize destructive thought patterns, you gain the power to replace them with constructive ones. Awareness breaks the chains of unconscious thinking and opens the door to deliberate transformation. This renewal is not a single event, but a continual process. Just as a garden must be weeded and watered daily, the mind must be guarded and nourished regularly. Negative influences will always try to creep in, whether through fear, doubt, or the voices of others. But if you are intentional, you can replace those weeds with seeds of wisdom, truth, and courage. Each day, you have the power to choose what thoughts will grow in your mind, and over time, those choices shape the life you live. The beauty of a transformed mind is that it changes not only how you see yourself, but also how you see others and the world. A selfish mind produces a selfish life, but a generous mind produces a life of giving. An anxious mind produces a restless life, but a peaceful mind produces calm even in storms. A fearful mind produces hesitation, but a courageous mind produces bold steps that lead to new horizons. The transformation within spills outward until every part of life is touched by it. Your relationships, your work, your health, your goals, and even your legacy. History shows countless examples of people whose lives were turned around not by sudden fortune, but by a new way of thinking. A person trapped in poverty who begins to believe in the power of learning and discipline changes the direction of their family for generations. A person once bound by bitterness who chooses forgiveness sets themselves free and heals broken relationships. A person once discouraged who chooses hope rises again and becomes an inspiration to others. The shift did not begin outside. It began in the hidden place of the mind, and from there it spread to every part of life. The promise of a transformed mind is that no one is locked forever in their current state. No matter how much failure or pain has shaped you, if you are willing to renew your thinking, you can rewrite the story of your life. It does not matter what the past says if the mind begins to say something new. The present and the future bend toward the thoughts you hold, and when those thoughts are transformed, your destiny is transformed with them. Therefore, if you desire a new life, do not begin with the external, begin with the internal. Guard your thoughts, train your mind, and fill it with wisdom, truth, and purpose. Reject the lies that keep you small, and embrace the truths that lift you higher. Over time, the shift within will shape the reality without. A transformed mind cannot help but create a transformed life, for the inner world always gives birth to the outer. And when the transformation